Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to our bedroom.
Again.
We
never leave.
There's nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere else to go. Today we're back with another reaction video, and we're going to be reacting to two clips from Irish television in the 80s about the Goth subculture in Ireland.
So yeah, basically I came across these on Facebook and I was like, hey, it would be kind of a cool idea, I guess, to react to these because one, we're Irish, and two, we're Goth. So I think it'd be interesting to see the difference between now and then. How it changed, how it didn't change.
Anyway, there's two clips we're going to be reacting to. The first one is a clip from the late 80s with an interview with Goths out on the street in Dublin, and the other one is from a late night talk show in the early 80s talking about different subcultures in Ireland. They actually brought on people from the subcultures to talk about it on the show, so we thought it'd be fun to watch these videos and react to them together.
Yeah, so I think I've seen like little bits of the street one, but I don't think I've ever seen the one that you were talking about. And I don't know if you've seen any of them. If we have, it was a long time ago, so it's kind of our first time seeing them.
Yeah, it's kind of, I've seen clips of them on Facebook and stuff, but I've never actually sat down and watched the full videos.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to be looking at is going to be the one from the late 80s interviewing Goths on the street of Dublin. So let's check it out.
No matter what the latest style in the shops is, there are always some kids who come up with their own look, and Grafton Street is their catwalk. At the moment there are lots of different groups around. They call themselves names like Goths, Cureheads, Psychobillies, and they dress a certain way depending on the kind of music they like. We decided to check out some of these styles. Though they obviously stand out from the crowd in distinct little groups, some aren't too fond of labels. Are you a Goth?
No.
Are you a Curehead? Do you consider yourself a Goth?
No, I suppose other people would, but I don't. Like, we just go for the more kind of vampire sides of things.
So that hasn't really changed much. I feel like most people nowadays, you're like, oh, are you a Goth? They're still like, no.
Well, actually, no, I think it has changed a lot. I think a lot of people have just been kind of coming out and saying, I personally don't exactly like labeling myself as Goth, but I'm aware that it's easier for other people to call me Goth, and so I will say to other people, yes, okay, I am Goth. But yeah, I think people are kind of just saying, okay, yeah, fine. Like, it used to be like, oh, don't put a label on me, I'm a person, like, I'm not a tinned food, like, or something. Like, basically, don't put a label on me. Yeah, I'm not like food or anything. But now it's kind of like, especially with like Instagram and tags and stuff, people will just say, okay, I'm gonna use Goth because I want to find other people that have the same interests as me, so they will be okay with using the tags Goth and stuff, and they're aware that other people might just label them as Goth, and they're like, okay, fine. So I think we're more accepting of it these days, where back in the day you'd be like, no labels for me, no. And now I'm kind of like, every single label I identify as most labels.
Yeah, I mostly just say yes nowadays, just to end the conversation.
Are you Goth? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a punk? Yeah. Are you an emo? Yeah. Are you stealing that? Yeah. But back then it was such like, it was seen as like an insult to kind of be like called a Goth or whatever. So that all of them were really vehemently like, no, I'm not a Goth.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you label yourself as a Goth, you're definitely not a real Goth either, because Goths would never like conform to anything, I guess.
Yeah, only true Goths say they're not Goths when they're asked if they're Goths. Is apparently the thought process behind that.
Also, can I just say about the whole Cureheads thing, I haven't really heard much about that, but when I went to go see The Cure 2 years ago, me and a bunch of my friends went, and a lot of the older people were actually shouting at us, oh my god, Cureheads, look, Cureheads. They'd come over and they'd go, wow, real life Cureheads. And I was like, Cureheads? What? You're here too! You're also a Curehead. I actually said that to somebody.
The head thing has always kind of bothered me, because I'm like, where did that start? Because you have like Cureheads, you have metalheads, you have rivet
Why
heads.
don't know Goth heads?
Yeah, but like, that's what annoys me, is like, how come it applies to some things but not others? Like, you have Cureheads, you have rivet heads, you have bass heads, but there's no like emo heads and no Goth heads. And even with other like genres and subgenres, it's not the same. For example, metal, if you listen to metal, you're a metalhead. But if you listen to gent music, which is a subgenre of metal, you're not a gent head, you're most likely a dickhead. I'm joking.
But yeah, I just thought it was strange. I don't know, like, it's obviously not just an Irish thing, like, Cureheads must be like a worldwide thing, but a lot of Irish people at the show were like, oh my god, real life Cureheads. And I was like, what is a Curehead? You like The Cure too. Like, what is a Curehead? Do you only listen to The Cure?
It's the only
I do
band
know
I
people
listen
that
to.
only listen to The Cure, so maybe. So yeah, I realised that I could see my wig cap a bit, so crown change, I guess.
She evolved.
I couldn't afford to buy new tights every time I went out because they get ripped very easily, so I decided just to leave them and
Just rip and rip and rip.
yeah.
Definitely didn't do that.
And people say goth fashion is expensive. This is budget.
That looks like she did that herself, though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny if she's lying.
That's what's so good about it. She's like, oh yeah, I just couldn't afford like new tights every single time they ripped.
Well,
I
like-
definitely didn't go buy tights and deliberately rip them.
I'd say
to
what
look
happened
like
was like there probably are like a few of them probably did happen, but then like you just add more on later because I do that myself, so it's fair.
So that way they last much longer.
And what about all these rosary beads and why do you wear them?
Well, the rosary beads are really classic goth jewellery.
Well, could you describe your look for me? Tell me, do you always dress like this?
Yeah, it's just me on a normal day.
Where did you get everything? Tell me about the clothes.
This is my great aunt's cloak. I got this when I was in London. Christmas present and my mum's t-shirt.
Tell me why you're wearing a rosary bead. A lot of you are, and none of you have given me a satisfactory answer.
Well, basically because it matches my brooch and I started wearing these ones.
Yeah, can I just say? So someone actually DM'd me and they were like, why? What's with all the beads? Like, I don't know any goths that wear beads nowadays. And I was like, oh, like myself and Conor actually do wear rosary beads. I wore them a lot more like when I was going through like I'm Nancy from The Craft. I remember kind of going through a phase because of that, and like Nancy is very goth. And I know you wear them all the time. So I was like, oh yeah, it's a goth thing. Goths do actually wear rosary beads. It's the thing.
I think the thing back then was that Ireland was very much still a religious country. Catholicism was ingrained in our culture, in our constitution, in a lot of our laws and stuff. And it was similar, as far as I know, with like other countries at the time. So wearing sort of like religious iconography and stuff was seen as like subverting that like norm.
Like Madonna used to wear rosary beads. Was she wearing it to be edgy?
Yeah, I feel like it was just like an edgy thing, you know, something that was so like held up highly in our culture, sort of perverted in a way, like put into this fashion that like, you know, all these people are going around clutching their Bibles whenever they see people dressed like this.
But also I think back then it might have been a really cool thing to actually borrow clothes. Like she was like, oh, like I got this from my mom and stuff. Like they could have like beads passed down to them like from different members of their family, and it was really cool to make your own clothes and like DIY and stuff. So I think that's probably another thing. Like a lot of families would have rosary beads because of religion. So to take them and just kind of make them fashionable was a cool thing. Maybe.
And the simple answer as to why I wear rosary beads all the time is because Jesus is my homie. Jesus is my homie.
It annoys adults.
And you like to annoy.
See? She said it annoys adults that she wears rosary beads.
So she is wearing them to
Yeah,
be edgy.
it was just...
What adults would be annoyed by this?
I think it's because, like I said, there was like...
Annoys adults.
They were seen as like troubled youths.
Satanic
and,
or
like,
something like, and they're like, well, not
Yeah.
satanic, look at me wearing a rosary bead.
They were seen as like troubled youth, the bad like people. So to see them wearing their like religious iconography and throwing it back at them was like an insult.
You want to look weirder than everybody else. Is that what you
I
said?
suppose, yeah. You want to just look different. You want, you know, your own look, really. Well, when I was younger, like about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been a cure head, you know. But like, if you get more into it, like you want to be out of that, because the cure heads now would be considered a bit of a joke, you know. They're just
Like, was it like? Is this a baby?
Heads.
Is this a baby? Was this the original Baby Bat thing? It was like you were a cure head, and then you elevated to
Yeah.
I'm not a goth, even though like
She might go on to say, like, I actually listen to other bands now as well,
Yeah.
maybe. But I feel like,
I also listen to the Smiths.
a lot of goths would start off on The Cure. A lot of people would say, hey, I'm thinking, like, I want to listen to goth music, what should I listen to? And people will just say straight off, they will say The Cure.
Also, I think the thing to remember is that at this time, there wasn't even that many options, you know?
Yeah.
Like, now this was filmed in like 1989, so we'd gotten like most of the development. But she was talking like 2-3 years earlier, I would have been a cure head. Like, you didn't have as many options, especially in Ireland, especially if you lived in rural Ireland, to get your hands on that sort of music and stuff. So I feel like The Cure were popular and they were
Well, I don't know, I
the-
wasn't there, I don't know.
Well, they didn't have the internet, you know,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah.
they only had their local record stores, and their local record stores were hardly had a metal and goth rock section in Ireland Ireland in the 80s, Catholic Ireland in the 80s. So The Cure were like popular enough that they were on the radio and they were on top of the pops and stuff. So they were accessible. So I think maybe that's why people were like kind of frowning upon it, because once they had like matured and started seeking out other music, they were like, oh, The Cure are so posery, they're on the radio, like check out this band that I like mail ordered a CD from like the middle of nowhere.
I'm pretty sure, I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure when The Cure came out, when the Goths started to really like notice The Cure, they did do like a really gothic style video, and it was kind of dark and moody, and they actually realized that Goths were coming towards this, so they didn't love that, because they didn't want to be put into one box. They wanted 360 to be for everybody. Pretty sure they came out with like a really happy, colourful song. That's maybe when the Cure heads were like, ooh, maybe not. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure I read something like that.
And by the late 80s, like The Cure had already sort of gone full swing in the pop direction and away from the goth label. So maybe that's why it was looked down upon. But I don't see why you couldn't sit there and still be like, they have like 3 of the fundamental goth albums. If there's a band who has like 4 pop albums and 1 death metal album, and you like that band because you like their death metal album, does that make you less of a death metal fan? You know, like,
I just think that they kind of wanted to troll them a bit though.
Teeny boppy, and they're only following one band, whereas like we listen to all that kind of music and all different things.
What do you call yourselves?
Gothic.
What does that mean?
It's just the type of music we like and the way we dress and the makeup, like it's the whole effect. We're called Goths.
What do you call yourselves?
Cure heads.
Cure heads.
so these are the Cure heads. We've gotten to the Cure heads. They've admitted they're Cure heads. All the others were like, I'm not goth, I'm not a Cure head, I'm not nothing. These are the Cure heads. I can see it, to be honest. I can see it. They have a much more like derivative like style than the other people did.
Well, they look like they could be in The Cure,
Yeah. What did you think of the outfits on the other group of people?
I can't remember, you'll have to go back.
Like, I wouldn't equate it that much with like what modern goth is.
One of them had like really heavy goth makeup and stuff on. The last
the
one.
Susie, yeah.
Yeah, it was like Susie makeup.
Susie shadow.
So maybe
on.
she doesn't listen to The Cure anymore. Maybe she just listens to Susie, so she's like not around anymore now.
Yeah, I thought their fashion was interesting because like it didn't really strike all the norms.
Well, like rosary beads, yeah. Ripped tights, yeah. Black, yes.
These guys have like the South Park goth look. Like this person in the middle, that is like a straight South Park goth like outfit. So I'll be interested to hear what
I like it.
the Cure heads have to say, and are they any less kind of pretentious about it?
What are they?
Just things like the music, all the music you're into, like The Cure and stuff like that.
And just the way dressed.
The Cure and stuff like that.
Name another one. Name one more. I swear to God, right?
Like, I feel bad for them. They probably didn't have anything else.
If this interviewer probes these and the only other band they come out with is the Smiths, I'm going to cry laughing.
Still like that now, though.
Your hair.
Right, and you listen only to one group?
No. The Cure, the Smiths.
Ha! Yes! Goth bingo! We won! I knew it! I knew the only other band they were going to say is the Smiths. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Smiths.
Yeah, me too.
Morrissey is a garbage fire of a human being.
Yes.
So, like, I can't support him in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But the Smiths' early stuff are absolute gold. And, like, I feel like they get looked over a lot in the goth subculture nowadays. It's weird, I get it, they were too poppy, I guess, to be goth.
At one stage, I'll come out and say it, I thought that... Conor will tell you.
So... I am pretty big into the Smiths. When I was growing up, they were like one of the bands that I really lit. Like when I was listening to The Cure, I as well, as a young teenager, when I was listening to The Cure, I listened to a lot of the Smiths. They had a similar sound in my head and I was really into them. So they always have like a really nostalgic feel for me. So every once in a while, I'll like go through a binge and have the Smiths stuff on.
Here's I go through a bin. I was like, yeah, that's
and find Morrissey. Every once in a while I'll go through like a binge and listen to their stuff again. Yeah. And at one point I had the Smiths on. And every time I listened to them, Lynn complained about it.
No, like I do like the Smiths. Like I like a few of their songs and stuff. I wouldn't listen to them for a very long time. I don't know. I can't remember even what they sound like now. Very whiny, though.
But like Lynn would complain when I'd have them on because I'd go through like binges of them and have them on for so long. And at one point I was like listening back to like the greatest hits of the Smiths. And Lynn was complaining about it. And she said, and I quote, God, this band is so bad. Like, they're such a rip-off of Morrissey.
No, I didn't.
The Smiths.
I think I said I'd rather just listen to Morrissey.
The Smiths are a rip-off of Morrissey.
I might have said that.
She said.
I might have said that.
B-52.
And where did the look come from?
Well, it's Robert Smith, the lead singer. He sort of dresses like this, and he wears
Red lipstick and black eyeliner.
Oh, so that was the end of that clip.
Well,
Yeah, that was an abrupt ending. But yeah, that was interesting. I think it was weird kind of seeing the outfits and stuff. Like the Cure heads dressed like what I expected them to dress like.
Yeah.
Whereas the other group were like more eclectic.
well, it's all
Like, they're-
thrifted, like, and it's like given, they have to find stuff from their parents. Like, they didn't have anywhere to get stuff.
Yeah, their hairstyles and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I see that. I see how that happened. The rest of it kind of had more like nowadays would be considered like a hippie artsy kind of aesthetic in comparison to like what this has like evolved into.
But like then again, the Cure, like, they wore colour and stuff, so maybe they thought they can't. It was more, maybe it was more about the music than the fashion as well.
Yeah, the B-52s really shocked me. I get it, like I like the B-52s, but you're being interviewed by television about the goth subculture and being a Cure head. They're not who I would have pulled out.
I don't know who they would pull out. I don't know who they were listening to then.
The Damned, Sudden Death Cult.
Maybe they were a bit slow on it. Here in Ireland, we get things a bit later now.
Very true. But I mean, like the Sisters of Mercy and all were around then. And like not one of them mentioned it. I wish they had have like interviewed the not goth people more and asked them more about like their music preferences and stuff. But at least we got a good insight into like their clothing and their aesthetic and like how they thrifted everything. So yeah, as you can see, even back then and in this day and age, it doesn't matter like where your clothes are from. You can thrift all that stuff and still be true goth. So this next clip is from a late night television show that's actually still on the air in Ireland. It's one of our longest running late night TV shows where there's like a talk show host and there's guests. Basically they brought on a bunch of teenagers from different subcultures to ask them about it. From the clips I've seen, it's pretty hilarious like how alien this whole thing is to them.
I've never seen this at all. I haven't seen anything about it, so I haven't got a clue what I'm in for now.
There are various types of gangs operating in Ireland at the moment in all our major cities. They are punks, mods, rockers, Teds, grease.
Gangs. That's incredible. This is from 1983, by the way. Oh, there's a fierce gang rivalry out there between the
But you
Goths
say
and the
like
Cure heads.
even later on, you'd be like, "Oh, there's a gang of kids outside the house." Like it's just a thing to say. Like.
Yeah, but it felt
Gangs, like people that hang
felt
around.
threatening. There's
groups.
gangs in all of our cities.
Futuristics, new romantics, blitz kids, skinheads, Rudy skinheads, boot boys, Hells Angels, bikers and scab boys. And we have some representatives of various gangs on the programme tonight, starting with closest to me, a gentleman called Donncha McDonough, who is 20 years of age. He's unemployed, he's been a punk for 6 years. He is from Crumlin and he is one of 11 children. Beside him we have Siobhan Corrie.
One of 11 children.
Yeah, like here it's very common to have big families actually, and they all would share like a tiny house, and they'd all eat baked beans and live in small houses and share bedrooms.
Contraception was illegal in Ireland.
I just thought it was an Irish thing to have big families because they're
No.
Irish people are very family orientated.
But that's because of the church. That's because of religion in Ireland back, like how it had such a tight grip on society. The church fought against legalizing contraception.
Yeah.
So it was actually illegal to like buy our own condoms here. I could be wrong. I'll fact check it and I'll put it on screen. But anyway, yeah, so because of that, it was the norm, basically, to be a family of like 14 and stuff in Ireland back then.
Who's 19, she's been a punk for 4 years and she's a sales assistant. Next we have John Fiddler, who is 20. And he's a first-year student of fashion and textiles at the National College of Art and Design. He's from Killiney, the eldest of 2 children. It says here he's been dressing strangely for 5 years. Gerard Quinn, finally, is 20. He is a mod. He's been a mod for 3 years. He's unemployed. He's from Fatima Mansions, and there are 16 children in his family.
How do you know what a mod is?
16 kids! 16 kids! I mean, good for them.
Or not.
Yeah, or not. But also, like, I mean, must like his wife.
Let us talk to them a while about the sort of things that many people would think strange and what they do. For example, Donncha.
He's wearing makeup, right?
Oh, he has to be wearing pale makeup because
Yeah.
he looks like a real life vampire. His like bone structure is amazing.
But like that's interesting because you wouldn't really catch punks nowadays wearing makeup. And like goth did breed out of punk music, like it was post-punk music. So that's interesting that back then it was I'm a punk and yet you're wearing makeup. And like I've never in this day and age seen a punk wearing makeup that
Imagine
was
he's
like
not
a
wearing
male.
makeup though. He's just Irish.
Yeah,
pale
true.
without makeup.
Right, that might be an
Yeah.
over exaggeration. I've seen like one or two punk guys wear eyeliner and stuff, but it wouldn't be like a full face of foundation and stuff.
He literally has white foundation on.
Yeah, that's interesting though.
Are you into violence, Donica, at all?
Well, it's centred around us because a lot of straight people have a violent attitude towards us, and everyone seems to think it's us that are the violent people, but we're not.
And how do the other members of your family, how do they react, and how did they react when you started dressing the way you are?
Well, it reacted strangely at the start, but after a matter of years, they just kind of get used to you, so just don't think about you, you know.
And you're on...
That's a really good point because I've had a few people actually message me and ask and just say like, oh, you know, my parents are really against this and are thinking I'm weird, so I'm afraid to dress up and stuff. But like he said, like after a while, they just get used to it and they stop. Like it just gets normal to them. Like after a while, I don't know how long it'll take. It will take different times for different families. For my family, it did take like about 2 to 3 years, which seems like a long time, but they just wanted to make sure it wasn't a phase. That's very right what he's saying, you know. After a while, they just don't care and they go on with their life and they're just like, that's who you are, that's fine. Like.
Yeah, I was lucky. Like my parents had already been through 3 kids and they'd all had a weird stage. So by the time I started being weird, they were just like, whatever, he'll grow out of it.
They had stages, but you didn't grow out of it.
I just didn't grow out of it.
Unemployed, I know. What do you do all day with yourself?
Not much. Basically just stay at home, sit around.
Yes, and do you go out at night?
No, there's nowhere to go. And nowhere they let you in.
How do you mean there's nowhere they let you in?
No pubs or clubs, discotheques, nothing. They even don't let you into some restaurants.
That's insane to
I
me.
don't know why I'm actually upset about that.
Yeah, like that's insane to me that they were that feared and like disrespected that they weren't actually allowed inside of discos and pubs and
Especially
stuff
when he
like.
said like about the violence thing, he was like, well, like if people are violent towards us, then we're going to protect ourselves, kind of, I guess is what he meant by that. So that's really sad.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like that's awful that they had to go through that. Like because they were like the first wave of this subculture, so they would have been so alienated. Like people see us nowadays and are weirded out and like freaked out by it. And that's after like 30, 40 years of this subculture existing and the internet exists and they see everything like possible on a daily basis. But like imagine there was like nobody and this was like a new thing, like, and this is how they got treated for it.
Yeah.
Are you into drugs?
No.
Not at all. Are punks generally into drugs?
Not really, no. Suppose I'll try it once or twice.
Yes. Do you have trouble with the police?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like what sort of trouble?
Well, we've nowhere to go, so we generally end up standing around places like Stephen's Green. They find us a threat, or the public find us a threat, think we're going to harass them or something. So the police generally come along and move you along, and then sometimes it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Goes from there.
That was our whole like teenage years.
Yeah, that's the thing that annoys me. Like they complain about all these kids being out on the street, like, and that they're a menace or whatever. But like, it's literally just the fact they had nowhere to go. Like there was nowhere to be. Like when we were growing up, they had the youth club and they had like concerts they'd put on, and it was basically just a place for people to hang out, like, and people would go there like to keep people off the streets and stuff. And there was another one in town just to give them a place to be, basically to feel like safe and like have something to do. And both of those places shut down within like a year or 2 years of opening, and then they're like complaining and moving kids off from places when they congregate on the streets. Like I don't know what they expect.
Yeah, I guess especially like because he's saying he hung out outside of Stephen's Green or whatever. Like that's fair enough. Like that's a public place. Like we used to get in trouble for hanging outside people's houses and stuff. Fair enough. People are probably trying to sleep or whatever. But if he's hanging out outside Stephen's Green, like
A public
getting in
park,
trouble,
like a huge public park, and then they're
And
getting
you know
in
what's
trouble.
funny as well? Like nowadays, people complain about teenagers and kids like being inside on the internet all day long. But you also gave out when they were out on your street.
Yeah. So where do you want them?
Where you want us to go?
Where do we put the kids?
And what do you live on in terms of money?
The dough.
You live on the dole.
What was the doll back then? $5?
Every year.
About £10.
For the record, the dole is Irish like unemployment services. The dole is like a slang for claiming unemployment.
I mean, what about your mother? What do you feel about her?
Not much really. Just that she's my mother and
Yeah.
Like, you have your love for your mother and that's it.
Yeah,
What way you look like doesn't change that. Like.
Yes, and do you have love for your mother?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and are you good to her?
Well, to my best ability, yeah.
Yes. I mean, do you give her money every week or anything?
Ah, yeah, yeah.
You do?
He gives money out of his doll. He only gets about €2 out of that doll.
What about your parents' attitudes? How do they react?
Well, like in the beginning, it was shock. Oh no, you know. And then...
What's interesting about this one is, I think he said she considered herself a punk, yet she has a very Susie-esque aura about her. I'm kind of confused.
Could be into both, but more on the punk side, so that's why.
Or what I'm thinking is like had the goth label not really originated here yet?
Did he not? Yeah, did he not use goth at all?
No.
Like they thought it was like a phase I'd grow out of. So you say give her this 3 months or 4 months, you know. But like I've seen it's gone on so long.
Yeah, it's the exact point you made.
I don't get into trouble or anything like that. And I'm hopefully not offending anybody by the way I dress. I'm doing what I enjoy. Become used to me in a way, like, you know.
And why do you dress the way you do? Why do you...
Well, I like the dress for a start. And then you're being different, like you're not just falling in with the usual crowd, like, you know. I feel quite comfortable in the way I dress, you know.
Yes, and what about, were you, if you're a punk for 4 years and you're 19, you must have started in school.
Yeah.
What school were you in?
Loretta College.
And you started this lark?
In school, yeah.
Yes. And what was there?
Lark. You started all this lark then when you were in school. It's so like demeaning the way he's speaking to them.
Yeah.
And like,
but I have to say, they're doing a great job. Like, they're really giving people a good name. Like,
yeah, like I think they were genuinely clear in the name of their subcultures.
They pick good people to come on, though.
Because they could have easily just picked lunatics for this show.
They could have made people look really bad, yeah.
But like the one thing I seem to find like common between all of them is when they're asked like why they dress like this, they're like, oh, like I just want to be different and like I'm more comfortable when I'm like this. Seems to be the whole like point.
Yeah, that's the main thing for me though. It's like, oh yeah, like I feel comfortable dressed like this. Like if I was to wear like a whole white outfit, I just wouldn't feel comfortable in myself. That's just how it is. I don't know. I can't explain why. I just don't feel comfortable like that. Like, I'm not doing this to look different though, personally myself. I guess what they mean is, you know, like you're looking at the same thing all the time and you just don't want that same thing. So that's what they mean by different. Rather than looking different to stand out, it's kind of for yourself, like it's not for other people.
But one of them
some of them might be.
One of them literally said, "I don't want to blend in with everybody else. Like I want to be my own original thing."
That's fair enough as well, but that's not really what it is for me.
Well, today I got a streak in my hair with some blue in it. I was called down to the head office, and the sister asked me had I got an operation on the side of my head. And I'm like, we weren't allowed to wear nail varnish.
Also, she said sister. Like most of the schools here were actually Catholic, run by nuns, which makes it kind of harder, I suppose. Very strict people. They weren't really allowed to do much, so I can't imagine what they thought of this at the time.
Yeah, well, like even when we were growing up, it was like tough in school. Yeah, you went to Catholic school, so
Can you believe? Can you believe?
Can you believe this?
Actually, two. I went to one actually that had a nun there. It's like I was really, really young. I don't remember too much. It was the first ever school that I went to. I was so young. I wasn't goth then, so it was okay. But then when I was older in secondary school, yeah, I was like coming in with black eyeliner and stuff like that, and they did not like it at all. No.
The guy was wearing this bright green nail varnish from the weekend, and I was trying to hide it.
And were you suspended?
Well, no, I wasn't. I didn't get into much trouble over that.
Yeah, and they got used to you too, did they?
They did, yeah. They got
eventually. Yes. John Fiddler, first-year student of fashion and textiles, National College of Art and Design from Killiney. What do you consider yourself to be, John?
Well, I wouldn't call myself anything. I wouldn't put myself in any category at all. I'm just quite a normal person, really.
I wouldn't know either, to be honest, just judging by his look and his aesthetic. Like if I saw him out on the street, I'd have no idea what kind of music he listened to.
No. Probably The Cure.
And the Smiths.
With the hair. Yeah, and the Smiths.
But I mean, under the various categories that we have of punks, mods, rockers, Teds, greasers, futuristics, new romantics, what would you be more inclined towards?
Well, I wouldn't be inclined to any of them, but...
Why you hear that?
Just the last 5 years, whatever's gone along the last 5 years, that's what's influenced me. Like music-wise or style-wise, so...
Everything.
Yes. That's what I am.
Now, you're obviously wearing eye makeup and eyeshadow and so on.
Yeah, a little bit.
And what is that in your nose?
It's a stud.
A stud, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Why particularly do you wear makeup?
Well, under these bright lights, you know, you'd show up all the spots and pimples if you didn't wear it.
But do you...
Same, bro. Same. I love this guy. His sense of humor is top tier. You can tell he took this just to meme, basically.
Troll them.
Yeah, he was like, oh man, I can't wait to get on there. I'm just going to meme my way through this whole interview.
And he deserves it because he's being so condescending.
Do you wear the makeup during the day?
Well, it depends. I mean, when you get up in the morning, it depends whether you want to put it on. A bit of foundation will do you the world of good.
Yeah. What about your parents' reaction to you in Killiney, John?
Well, they thought it was a phase I was going through. And so did I. But
So did I.
Something happened, so it's not a phase. But I'm still growing, so I'm only young.
I'm still growing. I love this man. This is 2021 meme culture in the 80s. Oh my god, I'd love to know if he's still around, like, and still like.
They'll probably be watching this right now.
Where did he go? Yeah, if you're here.
Anyone watching this, hello, you're all beautiful. You did a great job.
Yeah, you all did fantastic jobs. But this gentleman in particular, I want to know where he went in life.
Conor's your number one fan.
Yeah, where did you go in life?
So, well, I mean, do you live at home?
I do, yeah.
Yes, and what do your parents ever discuss this? Do you think they're upset about it, or do they?
No, they know what I'm like. I mean, my hair is just my hair, you know. They know what kind of a person I am.
Yes.
That's what matters.
And do you think they were?
Excellent point. Excellent point. I'm glad that he actually said that.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the thing. People are always like, oh, what does this person think of this? And, like, what about this? And it's like, it doesn't matter what anyone looks like, you know? Like, it's literally, like, what's their worth on their looks? It's, like, the character of their being, the kind of person that they are, that matters most. Like, what does it matter that my hair is weird?
So they're all spot on.
About neighbours and other
Oh, yeah,
people
they
here?
do, of course. But, I mean, that's the neighbours' fault for sort of making them worry in the first place.
Yes. Do you have to work? Do you have to work hard to get your hair like that, John? Or
Well, it depends what kind of a hurry I'm in. Like, I've had time to do it for tonight. Of course, I've done it especially for you. I wouldn't wear this to breakfast. It would take too long.
Thank you for making the effort for the late show.
I thought I'd give you something that would be exciting.
Yes, exciting.
For a change. Yes.
For a change. That little remark.
Legend.
Incredible. He has turned this whole interview around. Like, I'm glad he went after the first two as well, so that he could have that build up of the interviewer Gabe weren't being so sarcastic and condescending.
Yep.
We love you.
Good.
We love you. Where are you? Where are you, bro? You're out there somewhere, and we want to know what you ended up doing.
Yeah, I don't know, where are you?
We want to know where you were.
No.
That was honestly really interesting to see. Like, I think the people that they picked were really good choices for both clips, and a lot of them gave really good answers as to why they dressed like that and how they felt and what the subculture meant to them. And despite the fact that in both sides it was kind of a condescending, like, talk down to nature, especially in Late Late Show clips, they kept their cool, like, and they came off looking like better people because of that. And it was cool to see, like, the fashion and looks back then, especially in the Late Late Show clip, the fact that the term goth wasn't used once, and like he listed off almost like every subculture that they had back then. So I feel like it hadn't really evolved at that point, and we were seeing like the precursors to like goths in Ireland.
Yeah, maybe.
So anyway, we hope you enjoyed watching this reaction video. We are going to be doing a live stream at some point this month. I'm going to post on the community tab on YouTube when we've decided on the day to celebrate us hitting 15,000 subscribers, which, by the way, we can't thank you enough for. Thank you so much.
So thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions on the next video we should do, then leave a comment below.
If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, as it helps us out a lot. Until next time, guys, see you in your nightmares.